This is one of the world's most dangerous borders, dividing two nations, India and Pakistan. 2,000 miles long, it slices through extraordinary landscapes and divides millions of people who once lived alongside each other. I'm Babita Sharma, and I'm a journalist. My family, as Hindus, were forced to move into what became independent India.
Primarily identify with being British. That's who I am. I was born and brought up in Britain. But I'm also really passionate about my culture as an Indian person.
I'm going to be travelling the border from the Indian side.
Wow, it's mind-blowing.
I'm Adnan Sarwar. I was in the British Army and now work for The Economist. My Muslim parents were born in what is now Pakistan. I've got to know what it means to be a Pakistani and what it means to these people here living as Pakistanis, what it means to my mum and dad to be Pakistanis. I'm going to be travelling the length of the border on the Pakistani side, a country that's just 70 years old.
Have you ever seen water like this? Look at the colour of it.
When Britain gave India its independence, it split the nation along religious lines, carving out a new Muslim state.
Since then, there has been frequent conflict along this border that to this day, very few can cross.
You can't know Pakistan unless you know Partition.
They're just saying we want independence. Go India, go Pakistan, we just want to be free.
Yet, after 2 generations apart, these two countries with such strong ties to Britain still have so much in common and so much to celebrate.
It's fantastic. We're going to have a great night here tonight.
Oh my gosh, I have just found a whole new family I didn't even know existed.
We're making 2 journeys with the same goal, to discover how a line on the map has altered the destinies of 2 countries that used to be one. For the last 3 weeks, Babita and I have been travelling either side of the border that divides India and Pakistan, from south to north. I am just on the outskirts of Islamabad here, and I want to get up to Gilgit, which is here. We've both clocked up about 800 miles, and we're now beginning the final leg of our journeys. I plan to explore Pakistan's remote north, heading to the city of Gilgit, passing through the Hunza Valley and ending my journey in Thulle, just 25 miles from the disputed border with India, where troops face each other in a bitter standoff. The 2 countries have fought 4 wars since partition, in 1947, 65, 71 and 99. Getting to film with the Pakistani military is not easy, but weeks of trying have finally paid off. This is very exciting. Today we've managed to get ourselves onto a Pakistani Air Force base, so we've got access to Pakistani pilots. Pakistan's Air Force plays a key role in protecting the nation. It's a modern military with a threat, you know, a next-door neighbour who it's always having arguments with, it's had wars with. The armed forces are close to my heart. I spent 8 years in the British Army as a Royal Engineer and did 2 tours of Iraq. I feel at home here because it's military, and I just recognise all the, the barracks and the parade squares and things like that. It's really cool. Pakistan's defence budget is over £6 billion. That's a pretty sobering figure. 10 times more than the government spend on education. The country's making huge arms deals with its neighbour China to buy fighter jets and submarines. And with over 600,000 military personnel, their armed forces are growing.
Knots starting to ease up on horizon 200. 196 knots starting to ease up on horizon. Pitch and roll, pitch and roll, pitch and roll.
I'm meeting some new recruits, and I'm surprised to see 22-year-old Rabia. She's one of 4 women on a cadet course, training to be a fighter pilot. I was just listening to you doing that, and I think you're the kind of person I'd probably be copying my homework off. What's your background? How did you get into the Air Force?
I personally think that in modern times like this, women should share the responsibilities of their male brothers in defending their motherland.
I get the feeling that was a bit of a rehearsed PR line. I may need to break out a bit of northern charm to get Rabia to open up.
We do our simulator-based training here.
I'm going to take this scarf off in case it flies off.
There we go, we have taken off.
This is really cool.
It is cool, but I think it is a big responsibility on our shoulders handling this aircraft.
Yeah.
It is worth a lot of money. See, once we are flying, we are responsible for everyone down there. What if this jet crashes? So I'm responsible for myself, I'm responsible for this asset of my nation, and I'm responsible for the lives that are down there.
I find attitudes towards women in Pakistan confusing. On the one hand, there are women like Rabia, but it's still a deeply conservative society where most are expected to follow the traditional roles of marriage and motherhood. You're a female pilot in Pakistan, which would surprise some people, which is unfortunate, but it would surprise some people. What do your parents think about your chosen career?
My father, he takes immense pride in this, that I'm his daughter and I'm in the Air Force. My father is the one who encouraged me to choose this career as a girl.
The armed forces in Pakistan are notoriously elitist. But unlike most new recruits, Rabia's family have no military connections. With the support of her father, she's been able to follow her childhood dream. If you do end up becoming a commercial pilot, we should go and get a flight together, because they're not letting me get in this thing.
No, I would never choose to be a commercial pilot.
You're never going to be a commercial pilot, just always in the military. Okay, so you're quite proud of your country then?
Yes, I'm quite proud of my country and I'm quite proud of wearing this uniform.
With relations as they are, a fifth war with their neighbours India isn't regarded as impossible around here. Do you ever imagine going to war?
Imagine going to war. Inshallah, if Allah gives me a chance, there will be a war, then I'll, inshallah, play my role in that.
Who would Pakistan be fighting?
Anyone who are going to go against us, we are going to fight them back with all that we have.
Rabia straps in for a test flight. I'd love to jump in, but there's no room for passengers. When I was in the British Army, I fought in Iraq, thousands of miles away from home in Burnley. If Rabia goes to war, there's a good chance she'll be fighting much closer to home. I hope trailblazers like Rabia are changing the perception of what it means to be a woman in Pakistan. But more than that, I hope her skills are never called upon. She doesn't think she's cool. She's bloody cool. She's cool. It's the image of the Pakistani woman, the meek Pakistani woman hiding away in the kitchen with her burqa on and stuff. Try telling Rabia that, you know, she'll fly a jet at you.
I'm 300 miles from where Adnan is across the border in India, and here they're just as battle-ready.
700,000 soldiers patrol this area. It's a militarized zone, one of the most militarized zones on the planet.
But you'd never guess it from these views. With snow-capped mountains, green valleys and natural lakes, I can't wait to get going. The last stage of my journey starts here in Jammu. I plan to head north to Katra, following the contested border with Pakistan to Srinagar, passing through Kargil and ending my journey in the Buddhist enclave of Leh, a total of 430 miles.
My mum came here in 1964 when she was 20. And she has talked about it so fondly, saying it's one of the most beautiful places that she's ever seen. Yet I've grown up hearing about all the problems that Kashmir has, the violence and the killings and the tensions.
At partition, Jammu and Kashmir was majority Muslim, but it became part of India, something Pakistan refused to accept. The two countries have never agreed on an international border here, and ownership of the state has been violently disputed to this day. Western journalists are not welcome here, so we enter Kashmir without official permission, filming only on mobile phones and stills cameras.
Feeling really nervous about it. We just can't risk being caught and stopped.
But I think it's a risk worth taking. People's stories need to be heard, because this is the sharp end of partition.
Thank you, Babita. Akil!
My guide Akil has been covering Kashmir's turmoil since the late 90s.
Things are not too good in Kashmir, although people are trying their best, level best, to live life peacefully, but it's very difficult. Kashmir is a very beautiful place. It's also called paradise on earth, but now this time it's sort of like moving towards hell.
And we're going straight into it.
I've asked Akil to take me to Jammu's heavily militarized international border, where India and Pakistan regularly exchange fire.
There's the post in front of us. Welcome to Border Security Forces. First line of defense, it says.
Looking like tourists, we step out, filming on our mobile phones. I'm only a few hundred meters from a Pakistani military post.
India, Pakistan.
I'm just taking a sneaky video before we're kicked out, but there it is. Proud to be Indian and proud to be Muslim. 70 years ago, I could have caught a train straight through here to Sialkot in Pakistan, but the line was abandoned after partition and the border closed.
Smile! We're just being watched by a lot of the security forces.
There's an unreal edge to this place. Although foreign media aren't welcome, local tourists are. There's even a sweet shop run by Geet Singh.
Oh, you've been born and brought up in this place? What's life like?
Risky life.
Risky life.
That's putting it mildly. Mukkan has some unusual items on display.
What ये क्या है?
ये mortar की shell होता है mortar से.
This is a mortar shell.
Heavy shell. इसका 5 किलोमीटर रेंज होता है इसका. हाँ, ये मैं कटाई कर रहा था हमारे खेत में ना मेरे खेत में ये मेरे को मिली. Zoom POK.
POK stands for
Pakistan side. Their code POK. क्या बात करना?
ये खौफ हो गया जो हम बार्डर की वजह से जो फायरिंग होती है उसकी वजह से कब क्या पता कब फायरिंग आ जाए.
Oh wow! It hasn't blasted. He's just showing me some pictures of the things that he's seen. ये यहाँ पर है?
ये सुचेत करने से.
So this is from the nearby village.
Nearby village, yes.
And this heavy shelling came from Pakistan side.
पाकिस्तान से. जैसे आम पब्लिक इधर भी है सर उधर भी आम पब्लिक है वो भी मार रहे हैं हमारी तरह इधर सर जो नुकसान काफ़ी हो रहा है.
It's hard to detect the military strategy behind this. It all seems to be pretty indiscriminate.
Geet Singh told us about 2 villages that had been really affected by the cross-border shelling. So we're going to go and see if we can go and speak to a few people in the village.
It's Abdulia village, right? And from our exact right side, you can see fencing. It's a border, international border. And just behind it is Pakistan. This community.
Oh, you can see bullet marks.
Shell marks, blood marks.
God. You can see it riddled with shrapnel. Pieces of shrapnel have gone straight through. And it goes on and on.
comes, you can say, community bunker.
This is
the bunker.
This is the bunker here.
Yeah.
Akil tells me the Indian government has built bunkers along the border to help protect residents from Pakistani shelling.
Uncle, हम ये देख सकते हैं? Thank you.
Tit-for-tat skirmishes between India and Pakistan continue to plague people living on both sides of the border. 28 people were killed last year by cross-border shooting and shelling.
So this is one of the bunkers of the village, and it's very well concealed because they don't want it to be targeted by any shelling. So you've got all these plants that almost look like it's merging into the village landscape here.
This level of protection is not just for show.
Uncle, आपका नाम क्या है?
Geet Singh. भैंसों का दूध निकाल रहे थे उधर पशुओं के पास। पाकिस्तान ने नहीं शेलिंग कराई तो बम हमारे को लगा, हम तो हमारा बाजू चला गया, एक मेरा लड़का भी चला गया एक जगह पे उधर पशुओं के पास है। जवान नहीं हो, उसकी बीबी है जवान ही बेचारी, थोड़ी देर तक शादी है, ज़्यादा देर में बैठ नहीं सकता।
Yeah, लम्बी भेजो ना।
हाँ, मैं ठीक।
हाँ। Uncle can't sit for too long, so he's just going to lie down. Hi.
खेती बाड़ी करते थे, बाद में क्या करना था, गाड़ी बर्बाद हो गया।
He's tired.
His son's widow is Rajni.
Tell me what happened.
उसके पास ही बैठे थे, बस इस फारी इधर पीछे लगी थी उनको।
In the back of the head.
कितनी देर तक चलता रहा पीछे, उसके बाद डेथ हो गई। ठीक थे, सारा काम करते थे जी। हाँ, पहले तो खुश थी। हमें तो कुछ अच्छा नहीं लग रहा, बहुत बुरा लग रहा है। अभी डर ही लगता है यार, पता नहीं कब फायरिंग स्टार्ट हो जाए।
Families like Geet Singh's who farm land along the border have nowhere else to go. And it's ordinary people like them on both sides of the line who are paying the price for political tension.
You can just see the hopelessness in their eyes. That is the reality of what life is like here on the border between India and Pakistan.
The partition line may have been drawn 70 years ago, but this place is a reminder that this conflict is still very much alive.
Just 50 miles from the border, the fear the Indians feel is also shared here in Pakistan. But where I am, at 4,000 feet high up in the mountains, the fear comes from an internal threat. The Pakistani Taliban operate here. We've been stopped about 6-7 times now by security and police. Every security checkpoint we've got to, they've said, you know, are you foreigners? We need to put somebody in the vehicle with you or send a vehicle with you. With some of the highest mountains in the world, this area once had a thriving tourist trade. But 4 years ago, a group of Islamist extremists stormed a mountain camp and shot dead 10 foreign climbers and their Pakistani guide. We've got a guy in the back who won't be filmed. He's got an AK-47. He's going to take us to the next checkpoint and then be delivered back, and then we might get another one.
ये dangerous area है इसलिए
They want to get us foreigners from A to B as safely as possible. Yeah, Pakistan's had, you know, its own headlines, hasn't it? And it doesn't want any more. It doesn't need them. Since I've been here, there's been 14 terrorist attacks across the country, and it's clear security forces really do have a battle on their hands. One that's cost thousands of lives and billions of pounds to fight. I've got another 3 hours of driving. It's a long road ahead.
On the Indian side of the border, I'll be leaving the treacherous mountain roads to Adnan. I'm leaving Jammu. We've ditched the crew vehicle and bought tickets on a local train.
This is packed, it's leaving.
I'm heading 30 miles north to the spectacular hills of the lower Himalayas.
This Jammu Express to Katra only opened about 2 years ago. And the rail line isn't completely finished because its destination at some point in the future is to go all the way to Srinagar in Kashmir.
When it's finished, the railway line will stretch over 200 miles. To navigate the rocky landscape, engineers are building the world's highest railway bridge, 35 metres taller than the Eiffel Tower and costing around £70 million.
My mum came here when she was 20. There was no train or bus ticket. She was on a bus from Jammu. She told me it'd be worth it, and she was fine.
This isn't your everyday commute. Most of the passengers are on a pilgrimage to one of the holiest sites in the Hindu religion, the Sri Mata Vaishno Devi Shrine in Katra. It attracts around 8 million visitors every year and is open 24 hours a day. It's a great chance for me to reconnect with my roots. There's only one problem, though. The shrine is a 7-mile trek to the top of a mountain.
So here we go. We are starting our walk up to Vaishno Devi Shrine. And it's going to take us 5 hours to get to the top. And we're using our feet. We're not going to take the easy route and go on all these beautiful horses and donkeys.
Vaishno Devi is a manifestation of the mother goddess Shakti and is believed to bestow strength to the weak, sight to the blind, wealth to the poor, and bless childless couples with children. But you don't have to be Hindu to make this journey. It's a family outing for everyone.
Hi, आपके पहले बार है ये? हाँ, मेरी पहली बार है. आप थकी हुई अभी? No, she's not tired at all.
29.
29? Oh.
But just making this trek once is a huge honor for every Hindu. Look at that.
Wow.
As a sign of their faith, some worshippers bow their body length all the way to the shrine. That's over 6,000 agonizing bows to the ground.
I mean, the faith of the people here is incredible.
Faith.
It is
faith, yeah.
sheer devotion, isn't it?
Yes, that's true.
And that is also sheer devotion, trying to push that up the hill. That's incredible.
14,000 steps and a few blisters later, we've made it.
We've reached the top, and that view is awesome.
It's forbidden to take cameras into the shrine, but this is religion in the 21st century.
This is a live feed of what's actually happening right now inside the Vaishno Devi cave.
Once inside the cave, pilgrims greet 3 decorated rocks that symbolize Hindu goddesses.
Everybody's giving their offerings, their pujas, their prayers, and leaving gifts for the holy shrine.
Legend has it that those who visit the shrine will be granted any wish they make. I head into the cave to make my wish without the camera.
Mum, did it. It's only taken me 53 years after you.
The shrine at Katra shows the power and importance of religion in this region. But religion hasn't always been as divisive as it is today.
My long drive is coming to an end. I'm travelling through the state of Gilgit-Baltistan. Before partition, this was part of the independent state of Jammu and Kashmir, ruled over by a Hindu prince. For 100 years, the people of these valleys lived peacefully together. But in 1947, there was a Muslim uprising and war broke out, splitting the territory in two. Chai, eh? Chai? And signs of the old state are still clear to see.
ये महाराजे का रोड है पुराना पाकिस्तान का बनने से पहले का रोड है ये। अच्छा। ये यहाँ से हिंदुस्तान और श्रीनगर तक ये रोड यहाँ से जाता है। श्रीनगर? हाँ यही और श्रीनगर जाता है। यहाँ है ये हमारे बड़े उम्र के बंजी के पाकिस्तान बनने से पहले ज़्यादा बंजी के ऐसे और कोई ग्रुप यहाँ नहीं उसके अलावा। डॉक्टर शरीफुल्लाह खान तलहा। मिल्स का नाम है? हाँ उनसे मिलेंगे इधर ही ज़रूर मिलेंगे डॉक्टर शरीफुल्लाह। अस्सलाम वालेकुम।
After one quick phone call, I'm off to meet the oldest man in the village.
ये कितनी दूर है? बस आप ये थोड़े से नज़दीक। अच्छा।
He would have been around when this area split from Kashmir. You can see why people would want to fight over this land. Hello. I find Dr. Sharif surrounded by his friends and family. I can't think of a better place to grow old.
Hey, Umar. 92. 92.
Oh, wow. Huh. Football. Football? Look at the size of that football. It's massive. He may be getting on, but his memory's still fresh. Dr. Sharif tells me he joined a paramilitary group in 1947 called the Gilgit Scouts that helped secure Gilgit for Pakistan.
तो गिलगित सिकोर्स का एक नगीर का हवलदार था और वो हवलदार जो था उसने हमें बताया उसने कहा कि हम इस इलाके को आज़ादी देंगे महाराजा को मैंने कहा मैं अपनी जान से मदद करूंगा.
A few months later, the Pakistani flag was raised in Gilgit, effectively splitting Kashmir in two. How do you feel now? Do you feel that this land should all be together still, or is it better that it's split? It's clear Dr. Sharif is full of national pride. But there's one more thing he's really passionate about. Oh, wow. Polo.
Captain team. Yeah, Mama Sharifullah. Winning team.
In Dr. Sharif? I find out Dr. Sharif captained the Gilgit Scouts polo team for 3 years, winning the prestigious Shandu polo tournament in 1965.
मेरा भी दिल करता है पोलो खेलने पर मैं कदे घोड़े ते नहीं बैठया पर दिल करता मैं तकना ना देखना ते बड़ी चंगी लगती है.
सब आते हैं ना खेलने जो नहीं सीख सकते वो बैठे रहते हैं.
Back home, polo's the preserve of the rich, not here.
We're at the polo in Gilgit, and it's just so many people here, and the police are scuffling with people who are trying to get in. It's just so exciting. This is bigger than football, isn't it?
Driven by armed guard, Dr. Sharif arrives. He hasn't played a polo match in decades, but the fans have not forgotten him. He's a living legend.
Oh, he's like a god, isn't he?
And while hundreds of people fight to get a good view, I've landed the best seat in the house. His old team, renamed the Northern Scouts, are playing their rivals, the Gilgit-Baltistan police force. I can't make out the rules. Luckily, Dr. Sharif's son is on hand to explain.
There is no rule.
No rules.
The only rule is to achieve your goal. While playing, you can hit the player, you can hit his stick.
You're allowed to hit the other player?
Yeah. You are allowed. You can. My father, Dr. Sharif, he was famous for this kind of thing.
This freestyle polo has been played in northern Pakistan since the 15th century and originates from ancient Persia. Back in the day, legend has it that polo was played with the chopped off heads of captured enemies as a symbol of victory. These days, it's just played with a ball. This no-rules polo has claimed its first casualty. The police win the game, 9-4. Even with Kalashnikovs in hand, they break into a traditional celebration dance, rubbing the victory in their rivals' faces.
I'm 130 miles from Adnan in Srinagar, the largest city in Jammu and Kashmir. Everywhere I look, I can see the Indian Army. 700,000 security forces are based across this state. That's one security officer for every 20 citizens. No matter where you go around here, you're being watched. You've got to just be really careful. Many Kashmiris here don't want to be governed by India. They want an independent state. And it's here, in Srinagar, that their voices are the loudest. The state is 70% Muslim, making it the only state in India where Muslims are in the majority. In 1989, militants began an uprising against the Indian forces, and since then, tens of thousands of people have been killed. We've come to Jamia Masjid, one of the biggest mosques here in Srinagar. In the last 9 months, it's this mosque that has been the centre of violent protests and clashes between Kashmiris and the Indian Army. We're about an hour away from Friday prayers, and it's usually after the Friday prayers end that protesters spill out into the main streets around this mosque to protest against what the Kashmiris call the Indian occupation of their land. Last year, during 4 months of mass protest against the Indian Army, more than 100 Kashmiri civilians were killed and 17,000 injured. Outside, I meet a group of Kashmiris that have come to pray.
हम प्रे शुरू करते हैं, प्रे शुरू करने से जैसे हम शुरू करते हैं तो ये हम पे वार करते हैं
without reason. Without reason.
Without reason.
Go on, Indian Army.
हाँ, Indian Army और JNK के एक साथ. आप इस वक्त देख भी सकते हो, soldiers गेट पे खड़ा हो चुके हैं.
India accuses Pakistan of involvement in the protests. Every Friday, like clockwork, Indian security forces surround the mosque.
What have you seen?
Tear gas shelling. ठीक है, वहाँ से हम कोई pellets लगाते हैं, कभी-कभी bullets भी लगाते हैं. जो हमारे जो छोटे-छोटे बच्चे हैं, kids, स्कूल के बाद हम praise जाते हैं. स्कूल uniform लगा के होते हैं, फिर उन पे वो pellets और bullets का इस्तेमाल.
Many people, youths, has been killed. We've been suffering 65 years with India. It's not new for us. India brutally occupied. It's in our blood. Okay, it's in our blood. Independence is in our blood.
Shops are now shutting all around this mosque in Srinagar. The army presence has just built up.
As Friday prayers end, a protest breaks out. The gates to the mosque are locked, keeping protesters inside and stopping them from spilling into the busy streets. I can't quite believe what I'm seeing.
The Indian Army have got these slingshots and they're picking up the stones that are being thrown at them, firing stones back.
On the other side of the gate, I get my first glimpse of the protesters, and I'm surprised to see how young they are.
So I wasn't expecting to see a Pakistani flag, but that's a very blatant political message from one of the protesters there. And if you listen to them, they're just saying, "Go India, we just want to be free."
The protest quickly escalates. And after several near misses, we decide to pull back. Indian forces fire tear gas. But the young Kashmiri protesters throw it back.
Hard talk.
Pepper gas.
It's pepper. You can really feel the effects of the tear gas that's just been fired. It's been about 5 or 6 canisters.
Violence starts to break out in the crowd, so we decide to leave. In 2017, it's almost like Partition is happening over and over again, every week. People are still feeling it. And it's now the next generation. Everyone there today was really young. And that is, for me, the consequence of what happened 70 years ago. It's an angry, frustrated voice that will do anything to be heard. Yesterday's protest opened my eyes. 2.5 decades of rebellion against India have taken their toll on the Kashmiri people.
Hello.
Hello. How are you? Artists like Masood are trying new ways to highlight their struggle.
We have witnessed a lot of death and destruction. Most affected are our children.
When you see the kids carrying out these protests and throwing stones and angry and violent, who do you blame for that?
Imagine the people born during this period. They haven't seen anything except violence. So they were born under the shadow of gun.
It's alleged that during protests last year, more than 1,000 Kashmiris were shot in the face with pellet guns by the Indian security forces. Many are said to have been permanently blinded. Lots of them, children.
So these are the silent images 2016, digital art. I uploaded those images on social media so that it could reach to the masses.
It's a very powerful image, and I can see how something like that would create a lot of conversation and a lot of reaction from people. You can see the pain in
exactly
your art.
This.
That's Gandhi.
These are the hands of a small boy. Because of these pellets, he has lost both the eyes. So now he has to search for peace. So he feels the statue of a Gandhi with his
hands. The father of peace and freedom. Srinagar is so beautiful. It's a tragedy that more people don't get to see it because of the security situation. This is Dal Lake. Locally, it's known as the jewel in the crown of Kashmir.
And that view!
Surrounded by the Pir Panjal Mountains, the lake covers over 8 square miles. George Harrison chilled out here in the 60s and played the sitar with Ravi Shankar.
What are all of these?
These are houseboats. These are just like your hotel on the waters. It's also called Venice.
The little Venice of
Kashmir.
I can see why. But unlike Venice, this is deserted. It feels like there's no one around. No diners at the restaurant.
No.
Everything, all the shops completely emptied.
It used to be full with tourists.
Over 1 million tourists visited Kashmir in 2015. But since then, tourist numbers have dwindled to almost nothing.
Soul-destroying to think that people aren't coming here because of all the fighting and the violence. And that side of Kashmir just doesn't fit with this, which is serene, calm, and tranquil. This is what Kashmiris want the world to see.
While other parts of India are moving forward, Kashmir is stuck fighting this internal conflict, and it could hold them back for decades.
Pakistan, on the other hand, is forging a new alliance with a powerful neighbour. I'm travelling along the Karakoram Highway. It's an 800-mile stretch of road that goes all the way to China. It's one of the highest paved roads on Earth. Built by Pakistan and China, it's a major trade route, helping to generate £11 billion of trade a year between the two countries.
Been on the Karakoram Highway a few days now. This last stretch has just been really smooth and developed and safe. And it's this friendship and this relationship that the Chinese have got with the Pakistanis. It feels like something's happening. That's the thing. It feels like something's happening.
In return, the Karakoram Highway gives China direct road access to Gwadar Port on Pakistan's coast, where traffic from Chinese commercial and naval vessels is growing. And for Pakistan, it's opened up remote areas like Atabad Lake to tourism.
Have you ever seen water like this? Look at the colour of it.
Shoaib captains a boat, taking visitors on the lake.
ये जापान से आते हैं, जी अमेरिका से आते हैं और अपने पाकिस्तान से ज़्यादा आते हैं।
जी दरख्त ने
जी दरख्त थे
पानी दे विच क्यों बनिया ने
ये भी एक गांव है
इसके नीचे गांव है
ये गांव था काबा जिला गए ये सारा डूब गया
Shoaib tells me the lake was formed after a massive landslide at Atabad village in 2010, killing 20 people. It blocked the flow of the Hunza River, slowly forming this lake over 7 months.
ये देखो ये भी घर था इसमें भी लोग रहते थे
There's just little bits you can see evidence of people's houses.
657 लोगों के घर डूबे हुए हैं मेरा घर भी मेरा गांव भी तकरीबन डूब चुका है थोड़ा कुछ रह गया ऊपर साइड पे
The original Karakoram highway also disappeared with the village underwater. To restore this vital trade link and bypass the lake, China and Pakistan built a series of bridges and tunnels costing over £200 million.
That's the tunnel that the Chinese built with the Pakistanis, 7 kilometres long, 4.5 miles, something like that.
हमारे जब कोई मुश्किलात आते हैं सबसे पहले हमारे लिए चाइनीज़ लोग आते हैं हमारे लिए खाने पीने की चीज़ें भी जब लैंडस्लाइड हुआ तब तकरीबन पूरे हमारे गोजाल के लिए उन्होंने खाने पीने की चीज़ें दी 2 साल तक
The China connection is big. The two countries have now signed a £46 billion series of construction deals that should rapidly modernise Pakistani infrastructure and strengthen the economy.
How do you see the future of Pakistan? Do you see a burst of trade with China and a burst of trade with the world?
जी बिल्कुल चाइनीज़ लोग तकरीबन हमारे लिए बहुत अच्छे काम कर रहे हैं इंशाल्लाह बहुत तरक्की करेगी हमारे पाकिस्तान
I drive further up the Karakoram highway and after an hour reach the Pasu Glacier. It waters this high altitude farmland, providing food for the remote communities. I'm now only 60 miles from China. Most of the people here are Ismaili Muslims, one of the more moderate sects of Islam. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. They speak Wakhi and have Aryan origins. Unlike some ultra-conservative parts of Pakistan, where girls are stopped from going to school, education here, especially for girls, is really valued. कितने साल हैं हो?
मैं 10 11 10
What are you going to be? What are you going to do in your lives?
Doctor.
Doctor.
Teacher.
Heart doctor. Eye doctor.
इसकी आँख खराब होगी तो मैं उसकी मदद करूँगी.
This is what all villages in Pakistan could look like if all students, regardless of gender, are given the same opportunities. And it's all made possible through a mixture of government and private schools and academies funded by international foundations. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
English something?
A little bit English.
A little bit, okay.
Yeah.
Great. This is your field?
Yeah, this is my field.
What do you grow?
Potatoes and some vegetables. Then we have wheat also. The green field is wheat.
Where did you learn English?
When we were going to school, you know, from class 6 we start just ABC.
Does everybody learn English here?
Nowadays, yes, everyone.
Wow.
In this area, we have good schools here, especially this village, 100% literacy rate.
100% literacy levels?
Yeah, in this village especially.
It's probably more than Burnley. Education has given Ijaz's children opportunities he only dreamt of. He tells me his eldest daughter is studying a master's degree in economics at Islamabad University. She plans to return to the village and become a banker. Looking at all the development that's going on in Pakistan, and one of the big things I've seen is the Chinese development and the roads. Do you think the kids might end up learning Chinese?
First we were learning Urdu, English, and nowadays the Chinese also, because of the road and all this.
I just think Pakistan's lucky to have this forward kind of thinking, you know. You've got this really young, vibrant, bursting population who are really educated on the border with China. It's huge.
Yeah.
By forging a relationship with China and by putting education at the forefront of children's development, it feels this remote northern area is headed in the right direction.
A 100 miles from Adnan in India, I've spent most of my time avoiding treacherous mountain drives, but now I can no longer avoid it. I'm heading along the Zojila Pass in the Himalayan ranges. At over 11,000 feet, this is one of the most dangerous stretches of road in the world.
I can see the rocks falling. I've seen a few coming down. I haven't been... Oh dear, that doesn't sound very healthy. You don't want to break down on this road. There's no AA around here. Wow. And it might be the lifeline from Srinagar to Kargil, but you could well lose your life on this pass.
Kargil is my next stop. It's where the last war was fought between India and Pakistan in 1999. The border in this region is not like the international border I visited at the start of my journey in Jammu. It's called the Line of Control, also known as the LOC. It roughly marks the military front where India and Pakistan declared a ceasefire line in 1949. It's not an official border, but acts as a boundary between the two hostile countries, running for 460 miles. And it split thousands of families who live apart in neighbouring villages.
Assalamu alaikum. Babita.
Sajid Hussain has lived here his whole life,
We are in the line of control. This is Hundurmo village from Indian side, which comes under Kargil district, and that village is Brolmo village. Brolmo village is in Pakistani side.
And the line of control runs directly through this area? I can see that Pakistani village from here.
Yes.
And it can't be more than 5 kilometers separating them.
It's just 2 or 3 kilometers away from this village.
So there are families that are from this village that have family in that village over there?
Yes, of course.
Hi. Assalamu alaikum. कैसे हो?
Saeed Rizvi has a half-brother living just over the border in Pakistan.
Oh, lots of pictures. You look so different. This is him here at 38.
80 years.
That's his brother.
He tells me if he could cross the line of control, he could visit his brother within hours.
How far is your brother's house to where you are now?
ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 8-10 किलोमीटर ही तजदीक दुखती है.
Instead of this short trip, Saeed must take a 1,600-mile detour around the line of control that can take up to 15 days. He's only been able to visit his brother once. Most families simply can't afford it.
Do you know how many families are divided like yours?
करीब कम से कम 10-15 हज़ार तादाद दुखती है. वाना गया मतलब वो हर चीज़ गई चिक दुख से गई मतलब वो कल्चर ज़बान या गई दुख जो लाजो सिंह ख़ानदान ची दुख से.
And some probably have never seen their families.
हाँ सिंह लाजो मत ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा 2% चले तो ताल्लुकात सोच सकते हैं 2-3 ये ना मतलब ज़्यादा ना हिंदुस्तानी अतकन है खोंगा ताने शीश इंजर भी नहीं आला चाज़बनियाँ थुक भी मैं लेकिन गया 2 चौक मौके से चिक चिक थुक भी दिखोए गुआना शिमिना सोनमी शिखान ना सोनखान थुक पे चौक शिशों.
Some families have waited a generation to meet their relatives on both sides of the line of control. I can't help but feel it's like the Berlin Wall of Asia, not just dividing families, but communities who for centuries used to live together.
It's taken us days to get here, but I'm so glad that we came, because I had no idea that partition affected people this far north of the border. It's heartbreaking to think that today families can't be together.
"70 miles away in Pakistan, my journey is coming to an end. Over the last 5 weeks, I've travelled over 1,400 miles, crossing 3 states. I'm now high up in the Thalle Valley. 53 miles east is the Siachen Glacier, the highest battlefield in the world, where even now Pakistan and India are locked in a stalemate over whose land this really is.
They are beautiful.
But the people that live here just seem to be getting on with their lives.
Hello, baby. That tongue feels lovely.
7 decades of bitter separation have cost both Pakistan and India dearly, not just in terms of military spending and lost lives, but also at the cost of trade, which would massively benefit the two nations.
ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਦੇ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਹੋ ਭਲਾ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਪਾਕਿਸਤਾਨ ਬੜੇ फ्रेंड बन जाते?
आप बिल्कुल सोचते हैं, मगर इंडियन जो है ये हमारा पाकिस्तान के साथ जो पार्टनरशिप बन के रहना नहीं चाहते हैं। मैं तो कहता हूँ इकट्ठे हो जाएंगे और रिलेशनशिप ठीक रहेंगे और अमन में रहेंगे और बच्चों के ऊपर तालीम दे देंगे।
On this journey, I've seen so many reasons to be positive, and it's all down to the people that I've met, who, despite all the problems, are just getting on with things and moving this country forward into the 21st century.
The Pakistan that I've met today is a young country. It's a 70-year-old country, and
is trying to work itself out. And it's trying to work itself out with that really awkward conversation it's got to have with its neighbour about how they, fell out 70 years ago.
I'm leaving Pakistan with a real sense of optimism for the future. And not just for this country, but for myself, as a British Pakistani.
This is the end of my journey here in Pakistan. It's not the end of my relationship with Pakistan. I feel more of a Pakistani, I feel like it's more of me, and I feel that's just going to get more and more deeper as I visit this country more. This is a part of me.
The end's in sight for me too. We've driven to Leh, where Buddhism is the main religion. We've come to one of the biggest monasteries here, Hemus Monastery. It's so peaceful. I can't think of a better way to end my journey. Hemus Monastery dates back to the 1600s and attracts tourists from all over the world. It's customary to make an offering to Buddha with flowers, candles, fruit, incense or water.
आप लोग हिंदुज़म इस्लामिया हो क्रिश्चियन अल्लाह का रखो हाँ जो भी अपना भगवान का रखो तो इसके सामने पानी रखो.
Offering water symbolizes purity and clarity of mind. We're just walking around this beautiful, huge statue of Buddha here. And many of the people that come here, tourists and also Buddhists, do the same walk. And one is the minimum, but if you can do 3, that's considered auspicious. But here the monks walk around sometimes thousands and thousands of times. I came on this journey to find out what India has become 70 years after partition. And what I witnessed in Kashmir has affected me the most. What do you think about the problems of Jammu and Kashmir?
लेकिन बाकी लोगों को हम बोलते हैं ओ दुश्मन है ऐसे हैं ओ पाकिस्तान वाले हैं हम इंडिया है तो ये जान चाहना है तो इसकी वजह से हमें ये सब मतलब आज का सिचुएशन ऐसे है मतलब बाकी रिलीजियस को हमने इज़्ज़त करना है सेवा करना है हाँ अगर हम सही रास्ते पे चले लॉर्ड बुद्धा जी की क्या टीचिंग्स दे वो हम देखें तब ऐसा कोई मतलब ऑल ओवर वर्ल्ड शांत रास्ते रहेंगे.
When I started my journey 5 weeks ago in the southern state of Gujarat, I got a sense that partition was starting to fade into history. But as I made my way north through Rajasthan, then the Punjab and now Kashmir, the legacy of partition grew stronger and more bitter. From the innocent victims living in fear along the border to the Kashmiris who feel oppressed in their own land. The truth is that I realise how partition has ripped the heart out of India. And to this day, people are still suffering. And it breaks my heart to think that this power struggle between Pakistan and India is preventing peace today in 2017.
Would you like to find out more about why India was partitioned and Pakistan created? Delve deeper into the history and psychology with our academic experts at www.bbc.co.uk/dangerous borders and follow the links to the Open University.